Good evening, friends, and welcome back for the last chapter of 10th Standard NCERT. This is about transport and communication, called as the lifeline of the national economy. So, friends, as we know, without transportation and services, nothing is possible. Whatever you are producing, whatever kind of labor you have, whatever kind of output you have, however good and beautiful it has, without transportation, it is nothing but zero. So let us understand something about this transportation. So as we know, there are three ways of transportation. So this chapter talks about the three ways. Like we have land transportation, we have water transportation, we have air transportation. Inland we have roadways, railways. In water we have waterways, coastal ways, and air we have airways. So this chapter is talking about all these things. This is talking about various types of roadways, various types of railways, various types of waterways, and little bit about communication. So very simple chapter, but very, very important from your mains point of view. So very, very important for paper 3, paper 1 as well as paper 1. So paper 1 and paper 3. For this is very, very important. So let us understand. So without transportation, there is no delivery of the services. There is no delivery of the goods. Nothing is possible without transportation. So as we know that even ancient time, so the war between Ram and Ravana, it could not happen because there was no way between India and Sri Lanka. So they had to build a bridge. So without transportation, nothing can be possible. So there are three ways of transportation: land, water, and air. So as we talked about, there are various subtypes of them. We have roadways, railways. Pipeline is a new kind of thing coming up. Like I have told you in the previous chapter that uh, some iron ores from Kudremukh are being transported to Mengaluru port via pipeline. So pipeline is a new thing coming up. Okay. Water you have inland transport, overseas transport. Air you have domestic and international, private air transports, public air transports like Indian Airlines. Okay, so transport and communications are a very very important thing. So let us understand these modes of transport one by one. First, let us understand land transport. In that, first is a roadways. Roadways is one of the most important in case of India. Without roadways, it is very difficult in case of India. See, all the countries have different dominant modes of the transportation. India has a road as a very dominant mode of transportation. So almost we have 56 lakhs kilometers of road. So what kind of transportation will be dominant in particular country will be dependent upon the type of terrain. Okay, then type of climate and type of investment available in this country. So depending upon that, they will have this type of particular type of transport. So terrain, if you have a hilly terrain, roads, railways are very difficult. If you have a climate like you have for example, in your area, rainfall is very very high. So roads will wash away very fast. Climate is very very hot. Road will melt away. Rail will also melt away. Getting it. So climate will also determine what type of transportation you will have. Investment, the amount of money that government will have, that will determine the type of transportation. For example, Japan, they will have bullet trains. India don't have bullet trains because we don't have money. Getting it. So in this way, these three things are very very important in determining the transportation. Now roads are of two types. Okay, largely two types: metal road and unmetal road. This is a metal road. Metal road means a very hard road made up of bitumen. It is all weather road. In rain, it will not wash away. Unmetal road means without bitumen, without like proper hardening work, without cement, they have made the road. So this is the sideway you can call it as a unmetal road. So metal roads are very, very important. So in this chapter, they have made a very good comparison between the road versus rail. So second way of transportation is a railway of transportation. We have a huge railway networks as well. But in case of India, road network is a larger, road network is a cheaper, road network is a easier. So why it is easier? Because construction, first of all, construction of road is very, very easy. Because you don't have to melt the iron ore, you don't have to make the very hard rail lines. So constructions of road is very, very easy. Second, road can be constructed on a hilly terrains easily. Rails are very difficult to construct on the hilly terrains. Getting it? So the lots of technology required for the construction of rail in the hilly terrain. Okay. Then, if you can see undulating topography. Okay, undulating topography means what? You have ups and downs like this. So in this kind of topography, road network is very suitable for that. And India have lots of undulating terrain. So roads are better in case of India. So mountains can be traversed. Second, then fourth thing that we can see, short distance. If you want to go to the short distance, you want to cover the short distance. If you have a, let us say, a short of a less amount of goods you want to carry, then road networks are more cheaper. For short distance, for example, let us say from Dhanvantari IS Institute to your uh, Hussain Sagar Lake, we are not going to construct a railway network. Getting it? So short distance is very, very, this road network is very, very good. So next thing is, if you have a less amount of good, for example, you want to carry the coal. So for that rail network is very good. But if you want to carry some few kgs of, let us say 100 kg of biscuits from one place to another place. So for 100 kg, you are not going to construct rail network. So for the lesser amount of goods, if you want to transport, then road network is very, very cheaper. So cost of loading and unloading is less in case of road network. Okay. So next thing is, road network can be used as a supporting way for other networks. For example, if you want to reach from your home to the airport, government is not going to build a railway network from your home to airport. So road network will be very easy. Similarly, if you want to go from railway line or railway station to your home, again, another railway line is not going to be built. So road will be built. So it can be act as a feeder or a supporting channel or supporting network for other types of networks, other types of transportation network. So this is very, very important from mains point of view. Anytime the question can be asked between comparison between road and rail network. Now, if you let us understand the road networks in case of India, there are six categories of road networks in case of India. First one is a golden quadrilateral. It is one of the biggest category. So this is a 6-lane highway. So one of the broadest highway. It takes a huge land to construct this highway. Both sides, six lanes you have. So 6-lane highway. It is connecting the major mega cities of the India. So Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and Mumbai. They are connected to each other by golden quadrilateral. So here again, east-west corridor. This is also connecting link between east-west corridor between Assam and Gujarat. Getting it. Also, it is connecting link between north-south corridor. Here, Srinagar to Kanyakumari. So here, in between, Golden Quadrilateral is also one of the connecting network. So that's why this is very, very important. And currently, they are being this work has been completely done. So who is doing this work? It is done by the National Highway Authority of India. So this is Golden Quadrilateral. Next, you have a national highways. National highways are made up by Public Works Department, Central Public Works Department. So what they are doing, they are linking extreme parts of the country. So if you have like you have extreme part, northeastern region, northern Jammu Kashmir region, Kerala. So extreme parts of the country, they will be linked by the national highway. So National Highway 1 is a Sher Shah Suri Marg. This is one of the very ancient highway. It was uh, first created by Sher Shah Suri himself. Okay, so this is National Highway number 1 between Delhi and Amritsar. Very important from prelim point of view. So third type of highway is a state highway. What does state highway do? They will just connect the capitals of different states. Okay. Again, it is done by the State Public Works Department. Then you have a district highways. District roads and district highways, they are connecting the district headquarters with other towns and cities in that particular district. Getting it? So for example, Hyderabad is being connected to the other places, other surrounding towns. Getting it? So it is, since it is a district highway, it is constructed by the Jilla Parishad. Then you have other roads. So for example, roads between two villages. So they come under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So you have a farm. So from farm to your home. So this National Highway Authority is not going to come to construct it. So who will construct it? This will be constructed by the district and taluka level authorities and village level authorities under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So they are actually these roads are reaching to the grassroots. So this is very important. So these are 6 types of road networks in case of India. Now let us talk about railway network. Okay, last one has remained, that is Border Road Organization or BRO. So right now we have a conflict going on between India and China. So we know that India was constructing a road in the Galwan Valley. Okay, so China obstructed this. So we are making 70 to 78 strategically important road along the China India-China border. So this is done by the Border Road Organization. So northern borders and northeastern borders, the roads are all made by the Border Road Organization. So specifically, they make this strategically important road. So strategically important road with a high technology and with a very fast speed and very quick decisions, they are doing it. So Border Road Organization is very important. So let us say it was established just before the China War in 1960s. Okay, so these are the 6 categories of the road that are there in case of India. So we have a huge road network, and right now there is a competition which is going on between road, rail and air network that we will see. Next one is a railway network. First railway network was established by Britishers. We have seen that they have changed the plantation of the India. They have removed the oak trees. They planted the cheer pines. They planted more and more sal and teak. Okay, so they first laid railway lines pre-independence. So first railway ran between Thane to Mumbai in 1953. It was very small, 34 kilometers of steam power railway engine. Okay, so this was a first transportation of railway which happened pre-independence time. So friends, railway networks are very important. They are backbone of our country, specifically for the industries. Getting it? Industries and freight, they are very important. Also, long distance traveling for people, it is also very convenient. Okay, so because of the rail network, our industries has grown so nicely. Also, for other types of communication, for example, um, if you want to send a parcel to someone, or if you want to send some stuff to someone, so you can use the railway network. The road network is not very efficient in that case. So this railway network is very important. So if you see railway network, so some areas in India are very suitable for the railway network. As we have seen, when there is a undulating topography, it is very difficult to construct the railways. It is very costly to construct the railways. Though we have constructed one of the highest railway lines on the Chenab Valley, in the Chenab Valley, Jammu Kashmir, but it is very difficult. Okay, so what the most suitable region for the construction of railways is a northern plain, because it is a plain area. Population of the people is very high, resources are very much high. Okay, so need is very high, topography is good, climate is good, so that's why the dense network of railways are there in the northern plain. But if you see the other area like Himalayas, they are not suitable for the railway. Very, very fragile mountain. Also, the dense forest region of Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, not suitable for the railways. Even Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, not suitable for the railways. Similarly, northeastern India is also not suitable for the railways. So, these are some of the drawbacks of the railway network. Railway network, if you see, railways have some railways have certain drawbacks. Right now, they are in lots of news during Corona times. So many people they have traveled in some certain way. Also, some railway officers and overall railway has worked in a certain way. Because of that, it is in the news. So, railway is suffering from lots of drawbacks. For example, so though it has a very high number of positive points, the negative point is that railways cannot charge people very high. So they are always in the loss. They are bare minimum, they are just recovering their cost. That's why you'll see our railways are in very bad shape. Second thing, people will not take, some people, most of the time, people will not take tickets. For example, go to the general class and you'll see even the TT will not enter into the general class. So almost everyone in the general class, they will never take the tickets. Okay. So many people will escape in the general class. So people will damage the railway properties. So for example, recently new railways have started with a very luxurious facilities with LED TVs and fans and all LED bulbs. So what people did while going home, they just damaged LED TVs or they just took out the LED screens. They tried to take away the LED screens and go home. So these types of things, theft is happening. Somebody will take the bucket, somebody will take the glass, somebody will take the what we say uh, tap. So people will remove the taps. So many things it will happen in the railway. You have traveled the train, so you know the problems in the railway. So these are various problems that railway is facing of damaging the properties, people pulling the chain, and they are traveling and they are not paying the tickets. So these are some of the problems railway is facing. Okay, also the main thing is that railway cannot charge people very high because people are the economy wise people are very poor, and railway is a poor man's transport because in a bus and all poor people the charges are very high. In train long distance charges are very less. For example, if I want to travel from Delhi to Kanyakumari, so if I travel by general class, it will just cost me 200 rupees or 250 rupees, not more than that. But same, if a poor man wants to go from Delhi to Kanyakumari by bus or something like that, it will cost him thousands of rupees. So that's why railway cannot charge you more. So it is one of the reason why it is going into the loss. Next type of transport is a pipeline. So it is a new emerging way of transport. So pipelines are used to transport oil, pipelines are used to transport natural gas, they are used to transport ores like iron ores, cement, so many things. So if we make a slurry of the solid things, they can be transported to the pipeline. So that's why pipeline are very good things. And the important benefit of the pipeline is that the delays and short like stops and delays, okay, during the transshipment, okay, the losses that can be completely avoided. So transportation is very fast. Nobody is going to stop you. For example, if I carry petroleum by truck, 100 places police will stop me. Okay, there might be some losses while transportation and inefficiencies, but in pipeline, nobody is going to stop. So shipment losses and delays are not there in case of pipeline. So we have some famous 2-3 pipelines in India. Okay, so first you can see Assam to Kanpur. They transport oil and natural gas. Second thing is Salaya to Gujarat, Salaya in Gujarat to Jalandhar in Punjab. Okay, and third thing is Hazira in Gujarat to Jagdishpura in Uttar Pradesh. So these Hazira in Gujarat to Jagdishpura in Uttar Pradesh go to the MP. Okay, so this first one takes care of northeastern area, and this also take case of north. This is northeastern, this is northern India. So in this way, this pipeline cover the whole country. So friends, this is one of the very efficient way of transport which is coming. We have spoken about the iron ore transport as well. Next thing is a waterway. Waterway, we are working on the waterway specifically project called as a port-led development project. Okay, port-led or Sagarmala. So under Sagarmala, we are connecting our ports with the waterways, railways, and roadways, everything. So waterways are very, very important, very cheap way of transport. They don't require much maintenance. The thing is that they need to be just economically friendly. They are very, very fuel efficient. So right now we have inland water navigation almost 14,500 kilometers. So pretty good. We have some national waterways like Allahabad to Haldia is national waterway number one. Okay, so we have Allahabad Haldia number one. Brahmaputra river, we have Sadia to Dhubri number two. Then we have west coast in the Kerala. Okay, Udyog Mandalam and Champapuram, Champakkara number three. Godavari Krishna river number four, and we have Brahmani river, Mahanadi and Brahmani river number five. So these are the different waterways. There are more waterways, okay, more national waterways. We'll see that. So at least you should remember these five. They may give you prelims, very important. They can give you match the following type of question. Okay. So these are the waterways, and slowly we are developing them. The problem with the waterway is just that they ecologically little bit harmful. For example, Allahabad to Haldia. If this if ship breaks and some accident happens, and this raw material falls into the river, then it will completely pollute the river. And fragile ecosystem like you have a Gangetic river dolphin and all, they may die in that. Okay, so that's why waterway. The problem is in between you have to do the dredging of the canal. Means what happens because of the silting? Okay, the volume of the water reduces. So what happens? There is a chance of accident. So you have to continuously remove the silt from the bed. So in that also there is a lots of harm to the ecology. So these are the problems of the waterways. Next, we have a ports. We have very important ports in case of India. Like we have Mumbai ports, we have Mangaluru ports, we have Kandla port. Here we have a Kolkata port, Paradip port, Visakhapatnam, Chennai, Mangaluru port. Downside you have a Tuticorin port. So very major ports. We have 10 to 12 major ports in India, and almost more than 150 minor ports. Okay, so you can see 95% of our trade in terms of value is done by these ports, international trade. Okay, so first port or the famous port is a Mumbai port. So from the time of British also, before that we have a Mumbai port. From the time of Chhatrapati Shivaji, this port is there, Mumbai port. Okay, after independence, first port that we developed was a Kandla port. So we lost the Karachi port of the Pakistan. So we needed some port in the west coast to take the to reduce the pressure on the Mumbai port. So we developed the Kandla port. Okay, so Mumbai port is the biggest port. Nearby you have a Nhava Sheva as well, or Jawaharlal Nehru port, which has been also developed to reduce the pressure on the Mumbai port. Then next, in the Goa, we have Marmagaon port. This is one of the important port for the export of the iron ore. So Karnataka and Goa, Maharashtra, you have lots of iron ore that is being exported to Marmagaon port. So almost 50% of the India's iron ore is being exported by the Marmagaon port. So specifically, this is for the export of the iron ore. Then here downside you have a Chennai port. Okay, Chennai port, one of the most important port, like volume wise, it is after Mumbai. Okay, so first one you can say Mumbai, second one volume wise you can say Chennai port. Huge port is there. Then you have Visakhapatnam port. Visakhapatnam is a more secure port. So it's very secure port. It is very deep port and landlocked port. Getting it very protected port. So Visakhapatnam is also very good for construction of ships and so defense purpose also it is very important. Kolkata is an inland riverine port. It's on a Hooghly river. So Kolkata is built on the Hooghly river. So Paradip is a tidal port. Kandla is also a type of tidal port. So these are the different ports in India. So we should remember them. Ports are very important from defense point of view, from trade point of view. Okay. So they are also important from the production of tidal energy point of view. Okay. So since ancient times, since Harappan times, we have these ports. Every king, even Cholas, Pandyas, Kakatiyas, they had their ports. Shivaji, they had their ports. So these are the major sea ports. Now, next are the airways. Airways are important in the regions where road and rail transport is not at all possible. For example, northeastern Himalayas. Road network cannot be built, rail network cannot be built. So here you have Pawan Hans. Pawan Hans helicopters provide services to northern India. Also places like Kedarnath, Badrinath, pilgrim places also they provide their services. So airways are the most and the fastest way of reaching of transport. So because of the Udan scheme of the government, okay, these airways are nowadays competing with the railways. Like you can see the fare, almost third AC fare. If you want to travel, for example, Delhi to Mumbai, the cost of third AC of Rajdhani train is 3,000 rupees or sometimes 4,000 rupees. But flight, if you book 15-20 days before, the cost is just 2,000 rupees. So many times the third AC, it is competing with the train in case of third AC. And third ACs are the only viable, let us say, revenue option for the trains, because the general people and second sleeper people, many times they escape. TTs don't go to these places, but third AC, first AC, second AC, TT definitely go. So this is a definite channel of revenue for the trains. But now the planes are competing with the trains over here. So airways are very, very important. 1953, we nationalized this Tata Air. So Tata was the first person who started the air transport in case of India. But after that, we nationalized and made it Air India. Okay. So Air India provides domestic and international services both. Pawan Hans helicopters, they provide these northeastern states and also these people who are working in the Mumbai high region to they're digging the oil over there. So they provide the services to these people. So airways are very, very important. So these are the ways of transport. Now, next part is a communication. Communication, as we know, is delivering the message from one person to another person. So it is done through post, it is done through telephone. What else it is done through? Done through mobile phones. It is done through computer, email, getting it. So right now, currently, the most efficient way is telephone. So in village areas, so government has provided STD lines. On the highways, they have provided STD lines. Also, mobile phones are very cheap. So slowly, this field is very, very revolutionized field. Getting it? Within 2-3 years, the old way of uh, word communication or personal communication is getting changed. So I know in 2011, the first Android mobile came in 2000. First dual SIM Android mobile came in around first in 2011. So in 2007, I remember there was a polyphonic ringtone Nokia phones. Means you will just listen polyphonic ringtones, not even songs. Getting it? So just in 2010, by 2010 Android came. 2011, 12 dual SIM came. Now 2015-16, very high quality smartphones are coming, and by 2020 we never know what will come and what technology will be there. Getting it? So communication is revolutionizing very, very fast. Telephones and all, they have been completely, they are out of fashion nowadays. Okay. So friends, this is all about transport and communication. When we are talking about transport, international trade is very, very important. International trade gives us some foreign exchange, foreign revenue. So this chapter has spoken little bit about international trade. it is not spoken much in your economic chapter, 12th class economy. You will see 11th and 12th. You'll get a better insights on international trade. So India export mostly services. We are very strong in exporting services like software services, and we import so many goods. Like the biggest of them is the petroleum goods. Petroleum we import, gems and jewelry, gold we import, diamonds we import, and we import pharmaceutical products from China. Almost 75% of the pharmaceutical products we import from the China. So chemical import is also very, very high. Electronic item import is also very high from the China. So everything from the China. Mobile, laptop, routers, whatever you think, everything is Chinese. Okay. Base metals also we are importing. Some high-end agriculture machineries we are importing from Israel. Some machines we are importing from the America. Defense equipments we are importing from these countries. So international trade is very, very important. In that, balance of trade is very important. Balance of trade means what? So balance of trade means the amount of import and amount of export should be equal. If import exceeds the export, then what happens? You don't have the foreign exchange. Getting it? So that's why it is always better that you should have more export than the import. But then balance of trade of the opposite country will go down. So international trade is always a headache for each and every country. So right now trade war is going on between USA and China. This is because of balance of payment crisis in the United States. Getting it? Same balance of payment crisis is there between India and China. Okay, because India is importing so many things from China. Getting it? So international trade plays very important role. So slowly we have to decide how we can reduce the balance of payment with all the countries. Okay. So this is about international trade. Tourism can be used as a very good channel or very good opportunity for the trade. India is full of tourism opportunity. From North Jammu and Kashmir to the Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh to central India like Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and come down to the south, we have very good art and culture like you have Karnataka, Hampi, Vijayanagara. Then you have South India, you have Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad, you have Vijayawada, you have Kakinada, and so many ports. We have Visakhapatnam. So everywhere, Kanyakumari, northeastern India, tourism can be used as a trade opportunity. So there are different types of tourisms. So tourism means not just like tourists are coming to see the Taj Mahal. Okay, that is one type of tourism. Another tourism is a medical tourism. That means people are coming for the treatment, as well as when they are coming for the treatment, they will not just take the treatment. They will see the places as well. So medical tourism is also there, and adventure tourism is there. Like you are doing bungee jumping, you are going for river rafting, and so many things. Okay, so some places like Uttarakhand and Himachal, they are famous for the adventure tourism. Some places like Pune, Mumbai, they are famous for the medical tourism. Andhra, Karnataka, famous for the medical tourism. So tourism is a very good opportunity to earn the foreign exchange. Very easy way to earn the foreign exchange. Getting it? It also promotes your culture. It promotes your handicraft. It promotes your tribal artifacts, tribal culture, backward culture also. So tourists, when the tourists come, they want to see some antique things. Getting it. So they don't go and purchase in the malls in generally. They will go to the tribal areas. They will go to the local handicraft shop. They will go to the local, let us say, person making some idol from a stone. They will go and purchase these things like that. So that's why tourism, they can boost the local employment of any area. So that's why tourism as a trade is one of the important opportunity. So right now, almost 1.5 crore people are engaged in the tourism. Very less. Getting it. India has a huge opportunity. Even every person can be engaged into the tourism. That much opportunity is there. Almost our 130 crore people. Each and every city, each and every village, we have something to show in the tourism. Getting it. That's why tourism can be developed as a trade opportunity specifically for the international purpose. So this is a very important things. These are the very important things mentioned in this chapter. This chapter is very important from our mains point of view. Hope you have understood this 10th standard NCERT. Let us see the MCQs based on this NCERT. Which of the following extreme locations are connected by the East-West corridor? East-West corridor, I told Assam and Gujarat. So Silchar and Porbandar. Okay. Which mode of transportation reduces transshipment losses and delays? Railways, pipeline, roadways, waterways. Pipeline does not have transshipment losses and delays. Which one of the following state is not connected via HVJ? HVJ. Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh. I think this HVJ is nothing but connecting Gujarat to the Uttar Pradesh. So it is going to Madhya Pradesh, so Maharashtra is not there. Which one of the following port is deepest landlocked port? We have seen Vishakhapatnam, Vizag port. Which one of the following is most important modes of transportation in India? Okay, so it is a roadways in case of India. Which one of the following used to describe trade balance between the countries? Okay, so international trade, definitely international trade is the answer. Okay. So I hope guys you have understood this NCRT. So we have finished with the NCRTs till the 10th standard. Please go through them, take all the notes and keep notes with you. They are very, very important from prelims and mains point of view because UPSC is asking frequent questions based directly on the NCRTs. Okay, so I have given you everything in the PPT format, so it is very easy for you to take down the notes. If you have any doubt, if you feel anything to share with me, you can share freely. Okay, so thank you. Bye bye.